Go.
Hello and welcome. My name is Jacqueline Cortez Wang, Senior Advisor for the White House Initiative on Educational Excellence for Hispanics. And it's a pleasure to welcome all of you today to our fourth in a series of Bright Spots in Hispanic Education Google Hangouts, aimed at highlighting the good work that organizations all across the nation are doing to reduce the achievement gap for Hispanics. As you may recall, as part of the 25th anniversary year of action, our initiative made a national call for bright spots in Hispanic education and announced over 230 organizations, programs, and initiatives that are working to increase educational achievement for Hispanics. To elevate the work of these bright spots and learn from their experiences, our initiative hosts interactive discussions on educational topics of interest via the Google Hangout. Today's session will provide an opportunity to hear from some of our bright spots and discuss ways to continue moving the needle for Latino students and families in the area of STEM education. I'm personally excited about this topic. I worked at NASA for a number of years, working with students and teachers to make sure that we have a next generation of scientists, engineers, and astronauts. So I'm excited to hear about what the bright spots across the nation are doing to make sure that we inspire the next generation. I'm joined by my colleague, Melissa Moritz, Deputy Director of our Office of STEM at the U.S. Department of Education, who will serve as our subject matter expert today, and by 8 Bright Spots organizations throughout the country who lead efforts to increase STEM education in the Hispanic community. Let me go ahead and list those bright spots. We are joined by AIM Squared, California State Northridge in California, by Central Florida STEM Alliance in Florida, Ciencia Puerto Rico from Puerto Rico, Citizen Schools in Massachusetts, LNESC Science Corps in Texas, Douglas Taylor School STEM Robotics, Mind Research Institute in California, and Chispa National Network in Florida. We would also like to welcome all of you who are viewing this event over the internet via live stream. Thank you for joining us. Before we begin, I would like to turn it over to my colleague Melissa, who can talk to us about the U.S. Department of Education's priorities around increasing Latino participation in STEM.
Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning to those who are on the West Coast. I just want to say thank you so much for having me and how thrilled I am to be part of this conversation. And in particular, a huge shout out to all the students that are joining us. I can't wait to get to hear your thoughts because you are so important to this issue. Second of all, I just want to say that you are doing incredible work from a variety of settings, different perspectives and experiences, and I know we have so much to learn from what you're doing, so thank you for being here and being willing to share some of the things that you're engaged with. As Jacqueline said, STEM education has been an incredibly important issue for this administration and across the federal government, not just here at the department, but across many of our agency colleagues. And the reason it's been such an important priority for us is because it has such immense potential for our kids, families, and communities. And before we get started, I just wanted to highlight 3 things that underscore this administration's commitment to STEM and my personal commitment to STEM. First, STEM is an equity issue. Second, STEM learning is for everyone. And 3, STEM learning can happen anywhere. So first, we must keep equity at the heart of the conversation on STEM, which is why I'm so excited about this conversation and to hear from the organizations that are out there. We know that STEM knowledge and skills can open up doors in addition to being an empowering skill set for all of our students. When you can look at a challenge and have the knowledge and skills to know how to solve that problem or build or design something to solve that problem, it is incredibly empowering. As you may have heard in the President's recent announcement around the Computer Science for All initiative, this administration is focused on increasing STEM opportunities for all kids, which means ensuring we provide access and opportunity to all of our young people, regardless of race, income, zip code, or if you live in a rural, urban, or suburban community. All truly means all to the Secretary of Education as well as the President when it comes to STEM education. The second thing is that STEM is for everyone. I think in STEM we still have a challenge with people thinking you have to be born as a scientist or an engineer. STEM is for everybody, and we know that STEM skills and content are things that anyone can learn or develop. And I'm excited to hear from the organizations about how they are developing those skills and mindsets in everybody. And yes, while STEM is about the 4 letters of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, it's also very much around the underlying skills of critical thinking and problem solving that are relevant and important for all kids and learners across the country. And third, STEM learning can and should happen everywhere. In STEM, as you can see from the diversity of organizations represented, STEM is about exploring the world around us. And that can happen in a math classroom or in an after-school program or even on a trip to the grocery store or unloading the dishwasher. What better places to explore shapes, numbers, colors, or begin to order objects? So thank you for joining us today and for encouraging more of our Latino students in STEM education. We are very grateful for your work in this area and excited to work with you. I will turn it back over to Jacqueline to kick off our conversation.
Thank you, Melissa. We also want to remind folks that you can participate in the discussion by submitting questions for us or for our Hangout presenters via Twitter using our handle @HispanicEd or the hashtag #HigherEd on Facebook, or by emailing us at whieeh@ed.gov. Now let's get started by learning about the Bright Spot organizations that are with us today. Let's begin by learning a little bit about the organizations. Please tell us a little bit about your organization and how you support increasing the participation of Latinos in STEM. We'll begin with the first organization, Ames Squared.
Good morning, everyone. We are very pleased to come to you live from the College of Engineering and Computer Science at California State University at Northridge, here in California, home of the Ames Squared program, which stands, as you can see behind me, for Attract, Inspire, Mentor, and Support Students. This is a 5-year U.S. Department of Education grant that we've been engaged in collaboration with Glendale Community College and College of the Canyons. And joining me today are a number of members of our team. From my left to Professor Bob Ryan, Professor Vidya Nandikola, Professor Anwar Al-Rumi, and Professor Gloria Malara. And let's not forget, one of our students from the cohort, Chris Sandejas, is behind us. The heart of this program is to graduate low-income, Hispanic, and underrepresented minorities in engineering and computer science. In the past 5 years, we've supported over 200 students in cohorts who are working with the faculty very closely on undergraduate research. They have access to mentoring, tutoring, a number of different activities, as a result of which they're graduating with higher GPAs, they're persisting, and they're doing amazing things out in industry. So we're delighted to be a part of this conversation today and look forward to sharing with you our best practices. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ames Squared. The next Bright Spot is Chispa National Network.
Buenas tardes. My name is Cherylani Juarez, and I'm the principal investigator for Chispa, which is Children Investigating Science with Parents and After School. I'm joined by my colleague Isabel Leader. I'm also from Frost Science. We're at Frost Science in Miami, Florida. And also we have Julie Rigoron Bello from Aspira, Florida, one of our project partners, and a teacher from the Aspira Leadership and College Prep Academy who is working with us, Olivia Diaz. Thanks to generous funding from the National Science Foundation, Frost Science is working with 10 other science museums and children's museums, as well as our partners at National Council of La Raza and Aspira Association, to help build relationships with the Hispanic communities in the neighboring areas around the science centers. And we're all working to promote and support science learning in out-of-school time. I just want to say I really appreciate all the efforts of the White House Initiative on Educational Excellence for Hispanics. And we're really honored to be a Bright Spot, and we're really happy to be here today to share some of the things we're learning about how to build those relationships and make sure STEM is happening throughout the day and at home. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next Bright Spot, I'd like to introduce Central Florida STEM Alliance.
Hello, I'm Etta Davis-Lowe, and I'm pleased to be here with you today. Also with me representing our partnership is Vanessa Lopez and Denise Ross. Our work encompasses 3 institutions in the Central Florida region, like Sumter State College, Seminole State College, and Valencia College. And our goal is to help students at our institutions complete their associate's degree and transfer into a bachelor's degree STEM program. And we do that by providing academic support through tutoring, both peer tutoring and on-site tutoring, through co-curricular engagement in STEM, STEM speakers, STEM conferences, and also STEM professional experiences, assistantships, conference attendance. So we are very pleased to have this opportunity to bring together 3 institutions with very diverse settings to make a difference for the students we serve.
Thank you very much. I'd like to also introduce ESC Science Corps program.
Good afternoon. My name is Renato de los Santos. I'm the director for the LULAC National Education Service Centers of Dallas. We're one of 12 regional offices around the country and Puerto Rico, and we're very pleased that we're here with our students at Carter Middle School from our STEM after-school program. We also are privileged to have with us this afternoon Ms. Luz Padilla, who's right next to me, representing the General Motors Foundation, who has made our program possible, and also is a long-term partner with the LULAC and LULAC National Education Service Centers in a variety of programs, including some scholarship programs that we're very privileged to be working with them on. We are here as well with Ms. Janita Trotter. She is our teacher here at Carter that has come on board with us and is teaching our students here in the after-school program. We're very privileged to be here and pleased that the students over the last year and a half that we've been here now, almost 2 years, our first group of students, we had about 8 students that ended up applying to and being selected to participate in a special high school at the STEM high school here at Arlington ISD. We have a larger number of applied this year. We envision that we will have even more accepted this year. Also, they will be doing a lot of summer programs, text prep program, and many other things that they're getting exposure to through our STEM program. There's so much more I could say about our program, but at this point, I'm going to go ahead and hold off until any questions you might have. I just want to close by saying I want to thank our students, our teacher, Ms. Trotter, as well, for coming out during their spring break. We are privileged to have been allowed to come into the campus and be able to do this Google Hangout with you, even though the rest of the campus in the school district actually is closed down for spring break. So thank you all for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you for coming up to spring break. It's always nice to see students.
It's awesome. Yeah, I love that.
Okay, now I'd like to introduce Ciencia Puerto Rico.
Hi, everybody. My name is Giovanna Guerrero Medina. I'm the director of Ciencia Puerto Rico. Ciencia Puerto Rico is a nonprofit organization based at Yale that gathers 7,500 scientists, STEM professionals, educators, and students who are interested in science and who have ties to Puerto Rico. Through an innovative bilingual online portal, we connect these people wherever they are in the world in order to promote science outreach, education, and careers. Our members are in over 185 institutions of higher learning in the US, in Puerto Rico, and even abroad. They represent over 100 scientific disciplines, and they're working in many different STEM sectors. Through the knowledge, commitment, connections, and example of these members, we aim to develop educational resources that are more culturally relevant. We give visibility to these wonderful Latino scientific role models, and we increase the access to information that can benefit scientific careers. Today with me I brought 2 wonderful Latina scientists that are based here at Yale, Dr. Janitza Montalvo and Dr. Mariana Acevedo, and they represent the thousands of scientific members that are part of Ciencia Puerto Rico that through Ciencia PR aim to both benefit their own careers and give back to their communities.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I'd like to now introduce Mind Research Institute.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Buenas tardes. My name is Maria Cervantes, and I'm the Partnerships Director for Mind Research Institute, and we have Karen Wu, our VP of Engagement, and Lisa Solomon, one of our wonderful partners and principal at our elementary schools. Mind Research Institute, our mission is to ensure that all students are mathematically equipped to solve the world's most challenging problems. Yes, we are the M in STEM, and we do that primarily in two ways. One is our Inside of the Classroom program, which is strictly visually based approach, and it's called ST Math, or other people know it as GG Math. And the second one is by our Math Minds initiative, which is outside of the classroom, really bringing mathematical experiences to families and to the community at large. So we're very excited to be part of this Google Hangout. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to now introduce Citizen Schools. While we wait for Citizen Schools, we'll go ahead and introduce Douglas Taylor School STEM Robotics.
Good afternoon from Chicago. I'm
Hi,
here.
yes.
It's Dr. William Truesdale, the principal of Douglas Taylor Elementary School. I'm here with Ms. Ramirez, our outstanding science teacher, the founder of our STEM robotics program, with Allie Parker from the All-Stars After School Program Coordinator, and my outstanding students who make this whole program do very, very well. They have a great program we have here with creativity with our students in robotics, so they're excited to share a lot of information with you. Douglas Taylor's elementary school vision is provides us with experience that broaden their ambition. It encourages them to pursue engineering opportunities in high school that can prepare them to study for engineering into college. The program builds on experience they can use to their advantage for high school acceptance. Since the beginning of the program in 2012, we've seen a 19% increase in our student scores on the 2013-14 ISAT scores in science. The number of students are being accepted into the IB programs, selective enrollment schools, on the increase. Some students have accepted into the Chicago Agricultural High School program. They're interested in life science. Others have accepted into select enrollment in IB schools with a strong science curriculum. These partnerships continue to grow with the effectiveness of things already in place. We are very excited to be part of this Google Hangout today.
Thank you so much, and again, love seeing students represent. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Truesdale, if you can move just a little bit to your left, we didn't get to see you. Thank you so much. And so now I'd like to introduce Citizen Schools.
Roxanne, are you out there?
Okay. We're gonna oh, there she is. Okay, we're gonna move on, and then we'll introduce Citizen Schools in just a minute. So what I'd like to do next is start the conversation. Let's go ahead and learn a little bit about what all of you are doing. We received a number of questions from social media. One of the most frequent ones we'd like to ask AIM Squared. AIM Squared, if you could tell us what are the type of programs or initiatives that can be adopted or created to prepare a diverse STEM workforce?
Great, thank you very much, Jacqueline. In my excitement to introduce our program within the 1 minute, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Ramesh. I'm the Dean of the College of Engineering, Computer Science, and the PI of this grant. Truly, AIM Squared is exactly what you see behind me. Symbolically and literally, it attracts students, it inspires them, it motivates them, and I have faculty colleagues around me who can speak to the amazing interactive activities, whether it's tutoring, whether it's hands-on research, whether it's mentoring, that truly engages these students in the programs that they're working on. So what we've noticed is when students are engaged in what they do, and I'll take poetic license here to say, to err is human, to forgive is divine, to err is human, to engineer is divine, to educate, that's truly sublime. And that's really what my colleagues are doing right here. People like Chris Zendejas right behind me is engaged in hands-on research that keeps them motivated, that keeps them engaged. So Chris, do you want to say a word or two?
Yes, I had the opportunity to partake in summer research here at CSUN, and I did research on rechargeable batteries, and it gave me a lot of insight on the opportunities out there for me and how to broaden my horizons academically, and also gain some hands-on experience, which helped me put that on my resume and become more competitive and more well-rounded as an engineer and as a student.
Anwar?
Yes, working with the students in different fields and introduce them to research at early stages, and like during their undergrad, actually open their horizon to actually pursue their graduate degrees. So now we have more students are encouraged and interested in doing research and continue their graduate study than we've been seeing before.
And just briefly, Gloria and Vidya, on your interdisciplinary project.
Yeah, in my experience working with the students, they have a close the gap between the faculty and the students. They feel more approachable to just going to you with any problem, even problems that I was not prepared before, like you get to know them from your roots. So that's what it has opened eyes for me, that we need the equity program, that we have to open all the forces for these students to accomplish what they come to do here, because they come with many problems that we don't have any idea that they deal every day to just come to the classroom. So it is not just what we give to them in the opportunities of research, it's also opening doors to just go into the counseling center that they didn't know at this point that they have access to. So the university has other resources that now they are taking advantage of, and in my experience, they have been very successful. All are going to graduate, and I feel really proud of the work that they have done.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much. We're going to head over to Chispa, and I have a question for you all. One of the things that we hear a lot about is, is formal education during the school day, STEM education. You all are engaged in informal STEM learning. What is informal STEM learning, and where does it occur?
So I'll take a crack at that. Yes, with Chispa, we are working with science museums and with children's museums. I'm going to give out a little factoid for you. Think about this: of approximately 6,000 hours of awake time that children and youth have every year, only 1,000 hours are spent in school. So that leaves 5,000, 6,000 minus 1,000, 5,000 hours a year for out of school time learning, right? So one of the things that science museums are trying to do, and after school programs are trying to do, is to provide rich environments where children can learn about science. They can learn about STEM. We'll extend to say STEM. Do you have anything you'd like? We have somebody from our program here, Aspira, and they're one of our partners in the community that we're working with. So we've provided training and the curriculum in science to do hands-on inquiry-based science in the after-school program. So do you have something you wanted to add?
So Libby is a teacher where she does formal education during the day, and we were talking about how they're teaching, let's say, pull and pull, talking about magnets in the classroom. And that's a very abstract concept. And then here you have the curriculum that's provided with Chifa, and then during informal, opportunities, then the children actually get to manipulate and do things with magnets, and you're reintroducing that vocabulary as they're doing these activities, and it's like the light bulb goes on. Now they really do understand what the forces of magnet, positive and the negative forces of magnets can do, and are gaining that vocabulary. So that is what the benefit of having this program and teaching kids in an informal setting.
The other thing that we do with informal, think about what parents can do. So family engagement is a major component of the Chifa project. It's the key in parents after school. We provide a series of parent workshops where parents really learn to better understand the formal education system, but also the role they play in supporting their children in their interest in science, in STEM learning, and STEM opportunities. And we also introduce them to resources that they can use as a family, such as local science museums. I'll give you another quote. No one ever flunked a museum. So we're trying to make sure that people know that museums are places they can come and learn during those 5,000 hours of out of school time.
Thank you very much. I'd like to go ahead and ask a question of Central Florida STEM Alliance that we get all the time, and that's, is there a specific mix of key program components that makes Central Florida STEM Alliance successful?
Well, one of the things that I failed to mention in our introduction is that the work that we do is funded through a grant from the National Science Foundation. And that grant is through the Lewis Stokes Alliances for Minority Participation, which is a well-established, well-documented, and very effective program. And there is a model for the work that we do. And so there is a mix of academic integration, social integration, and STEM professionalization that has been shown over the years to make a significant difference for students who participate. And so it's not about having a one-third exposure for the students in addressing those three areas. It's about ensuring that there are high-quality experiences in each of those areas for the students who participate, and providing them opportunity to access those experiences that they deem will best benefit them while building connections with faculty. So that's the mix that we use and that we employ in different measures at our three different institutions.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for that. And that brings up a really important thing that I heard actually in all the introductions, which is around this concept of partnership. So the next question is going to be for LNESC. And on this notion of partnership, you all in your introduction noted that you work with GM and Arlington ISD collaboratively to implement the program at Carter Middle School. What impact, can you talk about that partnership and the impact that that's had?
Absolutely. We would not be here without the support and active participation. It's more of a very active partnership from the General Motors and the General Motors Foundation. We're very privileged, as I said earlier, to have Luz Padilla with the GM Foundation. And I'm going to invite her to tell you a little bit about our STEM Council. It's an advisory committee that we have here locally working with us that brings so many resources, that makes so many extras possible that we would not be able to do without their support and commitment. And it's more than just the money. We love that. But it's their time and effort, the professionals, the mentors that come in from GM that really have made a difference in our program. So, Luz?
Thank you, Ray. So as Ray mentioned, a few years back, we really took on just in a community affair in enhancing STEM within the Arlington community. So how are we going to do that? We absolutely went out into the community and found the leadership that would work with us in cultivating these students, definitely including parents, awareness, and sharing best practices with different organizations and key leadership institutions such as the University of Texas at Arlington, which is a strong partner and definitely brings just an immense amount of resources to these students. Very proud of how every time I interact with these students, they are at another level and they truly understand what it takes for them to continue their education and come into some of these STEM careers that we are so much in need of in General Motors and just throughout the country. Very privileged to have Ray De Los Santos leading the LNESC organization, and Mrs. Trotter, which is just an amazing role model to the entire community.
Thank you. I would like to ask a Puerto Rico question. How do you use social networks to highlight the work and research of Puerto Rican scientists and as role models for younger generations?
Well, we aim to do that in a number of ways. So pretty much we take an all-hands-on-deck approach. We leverage our members to be able to tell stories about who they are, to different audiences. So we do a lot of science communication initiatives. A lot of our scientists themselves submit stories about what they do, why they are passionate about science. These stories are published in media, general public media like El Nuevo Dia, which is the largest newspaper in Puerto Rico and also has broad readership here in the US. We also have a lot of blogs where scientists talk about what their day-to-day lives are like. And then whenever we have programs where we reach out to students, we reach out to people like Mariana and Janitza here to serve as mentors, to serve as role models, to help us conduct these events. So what we really want to do is make sure that students see that there is a large community of Latino scientists out there, that these are careers that they can aspire to. These are careers that are exciting. There's a lot of opportunity there. And so they can envision themselves in these careers in the future. I don't know if Mariana or Janitza maybe want to say a few words about what Ciencia Puerto Rico means to them as members, as scientific members.
Sure. So I am postdoc here at Yale. I work in the Department of Psychiatry and Human Genetics. And I come from a public school at Calle, a very small town in Puerto Rico. And for me, having role models is very important to see yourself as a science and see yourself as a women's science. We think it's even more challenging. So I think Ciencia Puerto Rico provides those resources that are key for the career development in science. And it also provides a networking opportunity to get to know more people in your community with the same aspirations as yourself. And that support is very important.
Great. Okay, great. Next up, we're going to go over to Mind Research Institute, and apologies to folks, we want to hear from everybody, and we know there's a ton that we want to share. So sorry for moving things along a little bit. But Mind Research Institute, one of the things, so we've heard a little bit about some informal science, we've heard a little bit about partnerships. Love to hear about your approach to math education and what's unique about Mind Research Institute's approach.
Well, I get to see it on a daily basis in my school. We've implemented the program at 3 of the different schools that I've worked at, and it's a program that's pre-kinder through 6th grade at the schools that I've worked at, and it's a program that helps to build confidence in math. Students gain this conceptual understanding of mathematics through the computers. They're playing math games, but they gain this knowledge, I think, that helps to build their math confidence, which is, I think, one of the issues that we have to address to make sure that students are going into STEM fields, because if they're not confident in their own abilities or if they're not confident in their knowledge base, then it kind of prevents them from going into those careers. But math education with Mind Institute has helped to build that confidence in students. And I've seen it with all students, all cultures. The schools that I've worked at have been mainly Hispanic, some 99.9%. And with English learners and with high populations of special needs students. And as the program has worked with everyone, they've been able to learn the math concepts needed, so then they gain a confidence in math that'll hopefully help them break through those stereotypes that we can't be in careers in science, we can't be in careers in math. And it also exposes them to the computers, which I think when you see a preschooler or a kindergartner who learns a 13-image password and they're able to do it and they see themselves as problem solvers and critical thinkers, it really does open those doors to seeing themselves in careers in math and science. And also solving our world problems. I mean, when kids can see themselves as solving a small math problem and then they carry it over into application of real life problems, they can start changing their community. I mean, they really can.
Great.
I think in the spirit of understanding the program better and what's unique about it, the fact that our founder, who is the neuroscientist behind the development of this program, was dyslexic growing up, I think he really empathized with language not being a barrier to learning mathematics. And he, as a mathematician as well, knew how important math understanding was a predictor for academic success later in life, and decided that this visual approach would be something that would make math accessible to all. So to Melissa's point on equality, and equity, it's really important that we come up with programs that address all of the needs.
Thank you very much. I would like to turn it over to Citizen Schools and get an introduction. Unfortunately, we didn't get it earlier. We'd love for you to introduce yourself. And also, I had a question concerning STEM and middle school.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry about the technical difficulties earlier. My name is Roxanne Garza. I'll give you a brief introduction first of Citizen Schools. So we are an education nonprofit really with a vision to close opportunity and achievement gaps by expanding the learning day and engaging students in real-world learning, ensuring that all children graduate high school ready to succeed in college and beyond. And really what that looks like practically is that we are partnering with 32 middle schools across the country to run an extended day program. So where students might traditionally get out of school at 2 or 3, they will now get out at 5 or 6. And what we're doing during that extended time is we're bringing in AmeriCorps teaching fellows to run an academic portion of that extended time that is tied to the standards and the curriculum of the school day. But we are also running semester-long apprenticeships. So what we do is we bring in not only STEM professionals, but professionals from the community. About half of our professionals end up being in STEM and running STEM apprenticeships. So for the semester, a professional will come in twice a week for 90 minutes to run an apprenticeship with the student. So really have a project-based way to connect what the student is learning during the school day and in the extended day to a potential real-world application. And it's also a way to do career exploration at a very early age. So the professional is serving as a mentor and a tutor and a teacher, and really, really broadening the horizons of the student to what careers are possible, particularly in the STEM fields. But to your specific question about middle school, we are partnering particularly with middle schools. I think based on research that we've seen, adolescence is just a very critical time in a student's trajectory. It's a time of rapid and constant change, not only physically, but in regards to brain development, in regards to morality and social justice, their social emotional skills. So we really see that as a critical time to either engage or re-engage students, because another thing that we see in the research is that interest in math and science tends to wane in middle school. So whereas about maybe 40 to 50% of kids, when you ask them in 4th grade if they're interested in STEM, about 40 or 50% say that they are, and by 8th grade that number tends to drop to about 14%. So you do see a big drop off in the middle school years of how interested or how engaged students are in the STEM fields. So for us, we see it as a very critical time to really run evidence-based interventions, particularly in the STEM fields with middle school students, so that they go into high school being more engaged in STEM programming. And another thing that we see particularly is, about a third of students, claim to have an interest in STEM, and after our programming, 80% of the students who go through our programs, and particularly our STEM apprenticeships, have an interest in STEM.
Great. Thanks so much, Roxanne. As a former middle school teacher, you were totally speaking to me right now, so that was awesome. I'm going to go over to Douglas Taylor, STEM School Robotics. Bill, one of the questions we hear a lot in STEM is that stuff costs a lot of money, and so implementing really great programs and projects can be really challenging financially for schools and districts. How have you been able to secure funding to expand the robotics from just a team to school-wide?
And I'm going to let Melissa talk about this because she has done a really great job finding these partners. So I'm going to turn this over to Melissa.
Hi, how are you? In order to get funding for my students and to bring in new programs, it's all about partnerships, collaboration, and just reaching out to other teachers in different museums around the city. And so I go to just about every professional development that I can find, and I find other teachers and what programs that they have going on, and then from there I will go out to their partners as well as establish my own. So a lot of networking as well. I have different partnerships with just about every museum in our city. So, for example, through the Shed Aquarium, I was able to get on board with their underwater robotics program, and their funding came from Motorola Solutions. So there's a trickle effect that ultimately comes back to my school and to benefit my students.
Just one comment too, we're very grateful for Allie. Allie's here from the All Stars After School program. She's the coordinator for the program, and Allie has worked very closely with us to provide this robotics program for our kids.
Great, thank you so much. I'd like to ask this next question, especially since we have two Latina female subject matter experts to Ciencia Puerto Rico. Women in particular, Latinas, are underrepresented in many of the STEM disciplines. How have you addressed this disparity within your community?
Yeah, so one of the things we did early on was to start a space to discuss issues about women and girls in STEM, Latina women and girls in STEM, through Ciencia Puerto Rico. And this actually led to a lot of discussions with colleagues like Mariana and Janitza about how all of us wish that we had had role models when we were growing up, and people who had told us a little bit more about all the possibilities that STEM provides in terms of careers. So last year we started a program called Semillas de Triunfo, Seeds of Success, with the funding from the Amgen Foundation, where we got female scientists and engineers in Puerto Rico to interact with middle school girls. 162 girls from 119 schools from 54 towns participated last year in these interactions. And the results were very positive. The girls showed higher appreciation for science. There was a decrease in the stereotypes of scientists, and there were also increases in their interest in science, technology, engineering, and math careers. But not only that, the girls were then, we asked them to reach out to their own communities and to do projects within their communities to impact other students. And they did, a whole number of things from butterfly sanctuaries to, science fairs, expos, science journals, excursions. All told, over 10,000 students were impacted through these activities that the Semillas of Triunfo, the Seeds of Success, helped us implement. And maybe Marian wants to say a little bit about what it means to have these type of role models.
Yeah, definitely. Just a little bit of background about myself. I actually went through the medicine path, so now I'm doing my Eurogyne fellowship, but I've always been very interested in science. And so I remember in every single step of the way just having a role model, and particularly in medical school, it was a physician that was also doing a lot of bench work and lab work and just trying to answer these really curious and interesting questions that you can't answer any other way. So Dr. Hendrix Munoz, she was a Puerto Rican physician at NYU, and I remember just meeting her and being like, this is possible. I can do lab work and also do medicine. And if it's somehow through Ciencia Puerto Rico we can sort of flip the table and sort of help these girls that are just at the beginning of their careers and sort of inspire them and just show them that these dreams are possible, that they can make it and they can do whatever they want to do if they're interested. So I think it's really cool. I think it's a very interesting initiative.
Awesome. I want to pick up on that thread and go to LNESC, back to you all, and hear a little bit about encouraging young women's interest in STEM. What sort of success have you experienced, and how do you do it?
Well, definitely that has been a focus, and I would say a majority of our students have been young women. I'd like to go ahead and challenge Ms. Trotter to go ahead and answer that question specifically, since she works directly with the young women.
We currently, out of our 34 active participants, 23 of the students are young girls. And we don't, in our recruitment, we don't focus on young girls, but this year I had a large group of girls that were ready to be here, every day participating. When we first went on our first investigation, the questions I kept getting was, girls can do this, miss? Girls can do this? Girls can have this type of job? And then as we continued on our trips and our investigations, it went from, can I do this, to I know I can do it, where I have a group of girls that are down at the river collecting specimens and fishing and identifying their microorganisms. I also had a group of 15 girls where we went to the hospital in the anatomy lab, and they're, you know, elbows deep in organs. We're picking up, you know, hearts and livers, and so every opportunity they get to experience and these careers, see mentors like Ms. Padilla and other GM engineers, they're able to see these people doing these different careers every day, and it just opens their eyes to so many more opportunities.
That's one of the most unique things about our program, that we have such a great partnership with GM, and they've brought in the engineers, the environmental scientists, and other professionals that are role modeling for them what is possible. So we're really, really thankful again for that aspect of our program.
That's great, thank you. I wish I had those STEM mentors when I was growing up. I stayed as far away from STEM as humanly possible until I started working at NASA, and then I wish I could go back to school. So then I have a question for Mind Research Institute, specifically about the lack of representation for women in STEM fields. Why is it that we see such an unequal representation of women in STEM? Can you hear me, Mind Research? No?
You'll need to unmute, yeah.
Make sure to unmute before you. Okay.
Sorry, little technical difficulty.
Okay,
There is a big disparity between the number of girls that are interested in STEM early on, and then later, you know, as mentioned earlier, how much it drops. I think it's something like 50 to 25% of women end up in STEM careers. And it starts out as, you know, we're 50% of the workforce, and then it drops that much. And I attribute it, I'm a mother of 2 daughters who are now in college, and I personally attribute it to a lot of math anxiety from a very young age that is passed on from both parents and teachers, you know, well-meaning teachers who also inherited or just through, you know, lack of training acquired a lot of math anxiety over the years. And math being the foundation of STEM, if you feel that, you know, high sense of anxiety around studying math, you will eventually give up on anything that relates to it in STEM. So the way that we're addressing that is we're creating programs outside of the classroom, Math Minds, and it allows the opportunity for parents, teachers, and students to all together experience math in a really fun way. So just last night, we had a family math night at immersion school, actually, a bilingual Spanish-English school. And there were mothers, you know, fathers, grandparents, and teachers who all came to learn how to play mathematical games. The series that we're developing right now is The Roots of Math, The Origins of Math, and it goes all the way to the south of the Sahara, and it explains games like Mancala and the mathematical concepts behind it. So through playing 90 minutes of math games, the children are basically with the adults, you know, winning and getting really excited and learning that to make a mistake is good and to problem solve is fun. And they start to acquire that yearning for more difficult problems. And we're seeing that by just developing that, they then take that into the classroom and have more confidence. So we're doing that and math fairs all around the country.
Thank you so much. I want to switch gears a little bit and go back to Chispa, and I want to talk a little bit about parent and family engagement. Do you mind touching on the role of parents and how any recommendations you have for parents and families out there who can help their children to succeed in STEM and think about the possibility of a STEM career for their child?
I think the Chispa program has really made a huge impact in regards to parent attitudes and their attitudes with their kids and being actual advocates and supporters of their kids. I think a lot of our students come in with, or even our parents come in with attitudes of, we can't do that, that's not for my child, or that's not even for my daughter. And with this, we're really opening up their eyes of, se puede. That they can do it, and that these are possibilities and there are no limits. Whatever their child wants to do, And a lot of our parents have had poor experiences in science and math. They're like, I can't do science or I can't do math. I didn't do well in school. And by this Chispa program, it really being also hands-on and getting them the resources in the community, just even the experience of going to a museum was a big deal for a lot of our parents last year that don't have that opportunity. It really allows those parents to be, since they are the #1 influencer in their young child's life, that they can really do anything that they want to do. They're changing their way of thinking, of looking at things, and like before they were saying about those informal hours of learning, they're doing now and asking questions, like at one of the grocery store, they're thinking about when they're doing things at home, asking critical questions of their kids and allowing them to think differently with their children as well. So now the world's the limit, and the parents are there behind them and pushing them, allowing them to expand and see those opportunities.
Thank you. We know that it takes parents and entire community to make sure that any of these programs work. I do want to go a little bit into the partnership aspect of these programs. So this question is for Douglas Taylor School STEM Robotics. I'd like to ask, how do we build our partnerships? What is the advice that you can give to all of our other bright spots when it comes to building these partnerships with local and city museums, aquariums, and nature centers to expand our STEM programs?
Find out what's available in your community and in your city. Reach out to your museums. A lot of times if you go to their websites, they'll list different teacher programs that are available. And often if you get involved with just one program, they'll consider you and give you first choice when new ones come out. So for example, with the Peggy Note Art Museum, I was involved with their nature programs, which also was connected to the Chicago Center for Green Technology that brings more engineering into our school and opportunities for me to pass down to my students. Through them, I networked with a guy named David Billard, who got me into, it's called Solar Up, which we build solar panel cars in the classroom. His funding came from the United States Army Foundation, so they provided him with funding that he passed down to me. And then through working with him and other teachers, I found out about the Shed Aquarium's underwater robotic program. And that is a huge program that they start as a smaller group with your students, and as you teach them, you build your way up to make it to the marine advanced technology and engineering competitions. And so that's where we're headed. We have a competition this weekend, and if we feel ready, we might move on to a higher one. So again, reaching out, what does your city have available to you? What teachers could you network with? And again, with those cities, who can they connect you with?
Great. Well, good luck on your competition.
Yeah, and thank you for that. I love the concept of seeing what's around you. Don't be afraid to look for partners in as many places as you can find it. Over to the Central Florida STEM Alliance. One question for you all, we've talked a lot about K-12, we've talked a lot about family, we've talked a lot about in-school, out-of-school. Curious about the focus on the post-secondary level. How can that really, how does that work and how does it make a difference?
It makes a difference because for underrepresented minority students, many of them will start their path toward a bachelor's degree at a 2-year institution. And many of them may start at that 2-year institution not certain that a STEM degree is a possibility for them. And so even though in an ideal STEM ecosystem you'd have that continuous support throughout the pre-K through grad degree system, we know that that's not the case. So students arrive at community colleges uncertain, and we have an opportunity to help them experience STEM, to help them strengthen their skills and move into the track for a STEM bachelor's degree. And so focusing at this level makes a difference because it eventually puts more students on track to complete a STEM degree and move into a STEM profession.
Thank you so much. That was really helpful to hear, and I couldn't agree more. It takes deliberate focus at every stage in the game, and ideally we're moving towards that world where there's a strong ecosystem all the way from birth all the way on up, but we know that's not yet the case, and so it's really important to think about the partnerships that exist between 2-year and 4-year institutions, as well as the support that we provide in every different stage of a student's life. So thank you for that.
So we have just a little bit more time. I want to ask one more question for AIMS Squared. And the question is, how can we attract and retain a diverse group of students to actively pursue STEM disciplines and engineering and computing in particular?
Great. Thank you very much, Jacqueline and Melissa. This has been a wonderful conversation, listening to all of the other bright spots. And I couldn't agree more on what we need to do in terms of increasing opportunities for our students, particularly working with community colleges, particularly building the pipeline through informal education opportunities. There is also another important aspect that I think we as university educators need to be aware of, and this is culturally sensitive pedagogy. So when you think about President Obama's call for increasing the number of computer scientists in the world today, we have some pretty unique programs that Professor Millara is engaged in, teaching computer programming using music. So this is a new way of approaching education to attract more underrepresented minorities, many of whom perhaps would not have considered a career in STEM. That's just one example. The engagement, the social, the career, the professional development that accompanies these activities is just a very, very powerful exemplar. And the more we can do by working with colleagues, both in the informal setting as well as the formal setting, I think with industry, we have an industry advisory board for our grant made up of the captains from aerospace and biotech and clean tech, and they love the results that they're getting. So there's a lot of examples out there. We just need to be sensitive to that. Gloria, do you want to just say a brief word about your program?
Our program, as Dean Ramirez says, it is just to engage them. So many students come and they want to be in computer science, but they just ask themselves, I am right for this field because the rigor that is asked for, but if you make it easy, like look through music, they have the patterns, they look for the patterns, and then they just bright the eyes that, yeah, it can be done. So we have in that program not only the music aspect, but also students that have been there create the community. So they go from cohort at the beginning to the next level, so they help each other. So we saw the need, not only the community through the music, because, you know, it just opened the lab to just going into more easiness, looking for the patterns, looking for what it is the other person thinking in the culture music, different in music. So the anxiety level goes down. So it is open the opportunity to just go and see the science that goes on, and they are able to do it because they see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, and thank you all to all of our bright spots. With just a couple of minutes left, I want to thank my colleague Melissa Moritz for joining us and our outstanding bright spots all over the nation. It's exciting to hear about all the work that you're doing. We also want to thank everyone watching the live stream today. This live stream will be available on our website after a few days, so you can definitely make sure to send the information out to all of your stakeholders. As a reminder, if you know of any other organizations that are doing good work in support of educational attainment for Hispanics, we want to know about them. We have our Bright Spot for Hispanic Education application form on our website as well. If you'd like to know more about the Bright Spots we've visited today, or our entire Bright Spot catalog, or about the work that the initiative does in support of Latinos in education, please visit our website at ed.gov/Hispanic Initiative. That's up on the screen. Again, ed.gov/Hispanic Initiative. And please join us for the next Google Hangout on Wednesday, April 20th, when we'll meet the bright spots across the nation who are doing great work to support Latino teacher recruitment. Thank you all again for joining us.
Thank you.